The next question says, what is decision table testing and when should we use it? So decision table testing, of course, is a black box technique, okay? This is one of the black box techniques. And when do we use it? So first, let's define decision table testing. And he says here the reason for using decision table testing. So it is used for testing systems for which the specification or the requirement takes the form of rules or cause-effect combinations. So it is used when we have some rules. For example, you are subscribing to a flight, okay, or any service. In this case, we have some rules. Based on them, we will give you the proper subscription for your case, okay, or your personality, for example. So in this case, we can use decision table testing. Also for cause effect. So if we have many causes, and based on those causes, there is different effect that happens to the user, okay, or to anything in the system. So in this case also, we can use decision table testing. In decision table testing or in the decision table, the inputs are listed in a column with the outputs in the same column but below the inputs. So like we see here, we have the inputs, which are the conditions. For example, is this a preferred customer or not? Did he order more than $1,000 or not? And he used the charge card or not? This is just an example. And based on these actions or these conditions, we have some outputs or some actions, okay? So like he says here, the inputs are at the top and the actions or outputs are at the bottom. Then the remainder of the table explores combinations of inputs to define the outputs produced. So this is the remainder of the table. Here we have the inputs, and based on them, we have different outputs. Our goal in decision table testing might be to test all the rules or to test the most important rules in our system. The next question says, what is the waterfall model and how is testing performed in it? So the waterfall model is the earliest model that was produced, okay, or that was created. So like he says here, the waterfall model is the earliest software development lifecycle approach that was used for software development. And the waterfall model illustrates the software development process in a linear sequential flow. This means that any phase in the development process begins only if the previous phase is complete. In this waterfall model, the phases don't overlap. So like we see here, we begin by creating our requirements, then designing our software, then developing it, then testing it, then deploying it to the customer, then performing maintenance activities. So how testing is done in this model? Testing is done only after all development activities are done. We do not begin any testing activity, whether it is test planning, analysis, design, or execution, until we finish all the development activities. That's why the waterfall model is not the best model to use, okay? Because it does not follow the principle of testing, which is early testing. The next question talks about the other sequential model, which is the V model. What is it and how is testing performed in it? So the V model is a software development model where execution of processes happens also in a sequential manner, in a V shape like this one. They also call it verification and validation model because it includes both validation and verification activities. The V model is an extension of the waterfall model because it is based on it. So like we see here, we have also requirements, we have design, we have coding, and we have testing. So it is very similar to the waterfall, okay? But the difference is that planning and the design of the testing activities happen early in the life cycle. That's why he says this means that for every single phase in the development cycle, there is a directly associated testing phase. So like we see here, in requirements analysis, for example, we have acceptance testing test cases or test design for the acceptance testing. And when we reach the acceptance testing phase, we begin to execute those test cases.